I never thought he would actually show up. I whispered to myself as I adjusted the veil over my shoulders, my hands trembling slightly despite the calm smile I was forcing in front of the mirror. The sun streamed through the large windows of the bridal suite at the historic hotel in downtown Chicago, casting a warm glow over the cream-colored walls and the delicate lace of my gown. Everything was supposed to be perfect today, the culmination of months of planning, endless spreadsheets, floral arrangements, and tastings, and yet my heart raced in a way I hadn't felt since high school. I could hear the soft chatter of guests gathering in the grand hall below, the tinkling of glasses and the quiet rustle of silk dresses, and I tried to focus on the excitement that should have filled me, the joy I had envisioned since I was a little girl imagining this very moment. But there was a knot in my stomach, a memory creeping in uninvited, the memory of Ryan Mitchell, my high school boyfriend, who had been such a big part of my life so many years ago. He had left for college in New York, we had promised to stay in touch, and yet life had carried us on separate paths, and here I was, years later, in a completely different world, planning a wedding with Jason, the man who had become my partner, my best friend, my everything. And now, the thought that Ryan might be here, in this very room where the echoes of my laughter from the past mingled with the future I was about to step into, made my chest tighten. I tried to steady my breathing, reminding myself that I was marrying Jason, a man whose love was steady and unwavering, whose kindness had never faltered even in the toughest moments, whose presence had always made me feel safe. Yet the anticipation, the almost cinematic feeling of the unexpected, clung to me, wrapping around every movement as I straightened my posture and looked into the mirror one more time, adjusting the pearl necklace my grandmother had given me, a symbol of continuity and grace, something timeless in the midst of a day that already felt surreal. Outside, the hotel's grand doors opened intermittently as guests arrived, the soft murmur of greetings filtering up the staircase, and I caught a glimpse of my reflection and the reflection of a life that had so many layers, so many memories. The thought that someone from my past could suddenly reappear made my pulse quicken, an unfamiliar mix of excitement and anxiety, a reminder that life had a way of layering the present with echoes of what once was. I reminded myself to smile, to take deep breaths, to focus on the moment I had been anticipating, to anchor myself in the love that Jason had given me and the life we were about to begin together. And yet, despite my efforts to maintain composure, a flicker of uncertainty ran through me, a tiny spark of curiosity about how the unexpected visitor might alter the delicate balance of the day. As I smoothed the front of my dress and stepped toward the suite door, I could feel the energy of the wedding building, a mixture of laughter, excitement, and solemnity, and in that moment, I realized that the day was about to become more complex than I had ever imagined, that emotions long dormant might surface, and that the story unfolding in the sunlit suite of the hotel might hold surprises I had not anticipated. My heart fluttered as I stepped into the hallway, the soft click of my heels echoing on the polished marble, the scent of fresh flowers enveloping me, and I took a deep breath, bracing myself for the unknown, for the possibility that Ryan Mitchell could be right there among the guests, and that my carefully curated day, the perfect day I had imagined for so long, might be touched by the ghost of a past love, testing the strength of the bond one had built with Jason and the certainty of the future. I was so ready to embrace. As I descended the grand staircase, the soft rustle of my dress accompanied each step, and I felt the warmth of the sunlight through the tall windows brushing against my skin, blending with the scent of roses and peonies that filled the air. Jason was waiting near the altar, his posture relaxed but attentive, his eyes scanning the gathering crowd with a quiet focus that always made me feel grounded. I could feel my pulse quicken with anticipation, not only for the moment I was about to share with him, but also because the thought of Ryan being somewhere in the room added an unspoken tension that wrapped itself around my chest. Guests were finding their seats, their murmurs creating a gentle buzz of excitement and expectation, and I noticed how even the smallest gestures, the way someone smiled, the tilt of a head, the shuffle of a chair, seemed amplified in the hushed grandeur of the space. My mother caught my eye and gave me a reassuring nod, her smile steady, and I felt a wave of gratitude for the familiar comforts that anchored me amidst the swirling emotions. As I approached Jason, The soft padding of my shoes on the polished marble floor seemed to echo in rhythm with my heartbeat, each step carrying the weight of years of decisions, memories, and dreams. I reminded myself to focus on the present, on the vows we were about to exchange, on the promises that would define the rest of our lives together. But even as I tried to ground myself in the joy of the moment, a flicker of curiosity and apprehension lingered. Jason reached out, his hand steady, warm, and comforting as it found mine, and the simple contact grounded me, pulling my attention away from the whispers of the past and back to the reality of the day. I took a deep breath, allowing the music that floated softly from the quartet in the corner to envelop me, the notes weaving through the space and wrapping around our shared presence. Each chord felt like a reminder of the life we had built together, of the laughter, shared secrets, and quiet mornings that had led us to this point. Yet in the corner of my vision, I caught movement, a figure entering through the side doors, and my stomach tightened instinctively. It was not unusual for late arrivals, yet something in the posture, the hesitation, the slight pause before moving forward, caused a ripple of recognition that I could not ignore. I felt the tension coil like a spring, my thoughts darting between the present and the recollection of memories that had once held so much importance. Jason squeezed my hand gently, sensing the shift in my energy, his eyes seeking mine with an understanding that required no words. I felt the mixture of excitement and nerve swell inside me as the room seemed to narrow, focusing my attention on the faces that passed by, the soft laughter of friends, the glint of jewelry, the shimmer of silk dresses, and all the while, the subtle awareness that someone from my past had arrived lingered at the edges of my consciousness. I took another measured breath, allowing the sensations of the day, the warmth, the light, the music, and the touch of Jason's hand, to anchor me, reminding myself that the story we were living now was built on a foundation of shared experiences and enduring love. Yet the curiosity and anticipation of what might unfold in the coming moments kept my senses heightened, every smile and gesture observed with careful attention, every shift in energy noted, as the ceremony prepared to begin and the first chords of our shared future were about to be played in the presence of everyone gathered to witness it. As the ceremony began and the soft strains of the string quartet filled the air, I felt a mixture of exhilaration and apprehension, each note resonating through the room like a heartbeat, marking the start of a moment I had anticipated for so long. Jason stood at the altar, his eyes fixed on me with a calm intensity that made the chaos of the moment fade into the background, and I felt a wave of warmth knowing that no matter what unfolded around us, we were entering this together. The guests were seated in neat rows, their expressions a combination of anticipation and delight, the sunlight filtering through the tall windows casting patterns on the polished wood floor, highlighting the delicate arrangements of flowers that framed the aisle. As I took my first steps forward, the familiar echo of my shoes on the marble and the soft rustle of my gown reminded me that this day was ours, built from years of shared experiences, late-night conversations, and unwavering support. Yet, at the edge of my awareness, I sensed a shift in the energy of the room, a subtle movement that drew my attention without breaking my focus on Jason. A figure had appeared near the back, standing hesitantly, scanning the room as if searching for something familiar, and for a brief moment, recognition struck me like a flash of sunlight through clouds. It was Ryan Mitchell, his presence both startling and strangely poignant, a reminder of a past I had long left behind, yet that still held fragments of emotion and memory. My pulse quickened, a mixture of surprise and a strange curiosity, and I found myself inhaling deeply to steady the surge of emotions, trying to center myself in the reality of the ceremony and the vows we were about to exchange. Jason noticed the subtle tension, his hand tightening gently around mine in a reassuring grip, his eyes conveying a message that needed no words, a promise that we were anchored in the present and in the bond we shared. As I continued down the aisle, the bouquet in my hands, the murmurs of the guests, and the gentle smiles of loved ones created a comforting rhythm. Yet my peripheral vision could not escape the presence at the back, a silent acknowledgement of someone from my past entering a space that had always felt sacred and private. I reminded myself of the journey that had brought us to this day, of the countless moments of laughter, support, and shared dreams that had built the foundation for the life Jason and I were about to formalize. Yet the unexpected appearance of Ryan created a tension that was both delicate and persistent, a reminder that life often brought layers of complexity even in moments designed for simplicity and joy. The music swelled, the voices of the quartet rising and falling like the tide, and I allowed myself to focus on the steps, the warmth of Jason's gaze, and the silent strength of the commitment we were about to make, all while a quiet awareness lingered in the back of my mind, a delicate thread of curiosity about how the past might intersect with the present in this room of celebration. A gentle reminder that our stories were never entirely contained, and that even the most carefully curated moments could hold surprises, emotions, and reflections that shaped the way we experienced them, carrying us through the ceremony and into the first moments of a shared future. As I reached the front of the room, the soft hum of anticipation seemed to settle over the guests like a gentle blanket, and I felt the solidity of Jason's presence beside me, a quiet reassurance that anchored me amidst the subtle tension I sensed from the back of the hall. The officiant smiled warmly at us, his tone calm and inviting as he began to speak, his words weaving a narrative of love, commitment, and shared journeys that resonated deeply in the stillness of the grand space. I could feel the weight of every gaze upon us, a mixture of admiration, affection, and curiosity, each face reflecting the hopes and excitement of those who had come to witness this union. And yet, even as the words of the ceremony wrapped around us like a comforting embrace, I could not entirely release the awareness of Ryan standing silently in the back, his figure framed by the tall windows, light catching the edges of his jacket, his expression unreadable yet undeniably present in a way that made my heart skip a beat. I reminded myself that the past had shaped me but did not define this moment, that the vows we were about to exchange were for the life Jason and I had built together, a life grounded in trust, respect, and unwavering love. As the officiant spoke, I focused on Jason's eyes, the depth of emotion reflected there, the steady rhythm of his breathing, and the subtle squeeze of his hand that conveyed more than words ever could. The music swelled softly in the background, the notes of the quartet rising and falling like a gentle tide, accentuating the intimacy of the moment and the significance of the promises being made. I felt the cool marble beneath my feet, the warmth of sunlight across my shoulders, and the comforting presence of friends and family who had traveled to share in this day, their smiles and soft laughter creating a tapestry of human connection that enveloped the ceremony in a sense of timelessness. Yet the awareness of Ryan lingered, a quiet hum at the edge of my consciousness, prompting flashes of memories long past, recollections of laughter, shared dreams, and moments of connection that had once been important but were now layered under the life I shared with Jason. I allowed myself to acknowledge these memories without letting them distract me, letting them exist as part of the journey that had led me here, while fully embracing the present and the life I was committing to. Jason leaned slightly toward me, whispering a few words of reassurance, his voice calm, steady, and filled with affection, grounding me even as the undercurrent of curiosity and tension persisted. The ceremony continued, each phrase, each gentle pause, each shared glance building a bridge between the past, the present, and the future, a delicate interweaving of emotion, anticipation, and certainty that made every second feel vital and profoundly meaningful. As I stood there, exchanging glances and quiet smiles with Jason, feeling the subtle rhythm of his heartbeat through our connected hands, I recognized the complexity of human emotion, how the presence of someone from the past could stir feelings without diminishing the strength of the present, and how, in that delicate balance, the true depth of love, trust, and shared experience revealed itself, carrying us through the ceremony with a sense of unity, awareness, and the quiet understanding that this day, with all its nuances and surprises, belonged to us. As the officiant began to guide us through the vows, I felt a quiet intensity settling over the room, a mixture of anticipation, reverence, and emotion that seemed to hold everyone in a delicate suspension. Jason and I faced each other, our hands intertwined, and I could feel the steady warmth of his palms, a silent reassurance that anchored me in the present despite the flicker of thoughts about Ryan that lingered at the edge of my mind. Every eye in the room seemed to be drawn to us, and yet the energy felt intimate, as though the space had condensed to just the two of us and the words that were about to pass between us. I took a slow, deliberate breath, centering myself, and allowed the memories of the years we had shared, late-night talks, shared laughter, quiet mornings with coffee in hand, moments of vulnerability and mutual support, to flow through me, reminding me of the depth and stability of the life we had built together. As I began to speak my vows, I focused on the rhythm of my own voice, the cadence of each promise, and the feeling of honesty and commitment that accompanied every word. Jason listened with his usual attentive focus, his eyes never leaving mine, and I could see the reflection of our shared history and the anticipation of the future mirrored in his expression. Around us, the subtle movements of guests, soft smiles, nods, glances exchanged with loved ones, added a layer of warmth and support that underscored the significance of the moment, while the light streaming through the tall windows highlighted the delicate details of my dress, the flowers, and the gentle curve of Jason's smile. Yet, beneath the calm exterior, the presence of Ryan at the back continued to hover in the periphery of my awareness, a reminder of a chapter that had closed but was momentarily revisited by circumstance. I acknowledged the stir of emotions it brought without letting it dominate my attention, allowing it instead to reinforce the strength and clarity of the bond one was affirming with Jason. Each phrase of our vows built upon the last, a steady accumulation of commitment, love, and acknowledgement of the journey we had taken together, and I felt a swell of emotion, a profound mix of gratitude, hope, and connection that seemed to expand beyond the physical confines of the room. Jason responded with his own words, carefully chosen and delivered with warmth and sincerity, his voice carrying a mixture of calm authority and gentle affection that mirrored the strength of his character and the depth of his feelings. The music from the quartet interwove with our voices, creating a rich tapestry of sound that complemented the emotional resonance of the vows, and I felt the atmosphere around us deepen, every note and pause enhancing the significance of what we were promising to each other. In that moment, I became acutely aware of the layers of life and experience that had led us here, the intertwining of past and present, and the subtle reminder that even as we celebrated our love, life could introduce unexpected moments that tested awareness, patience, and perspective. I held Jason's gaze, feeling the solidity of our commitment, the shared understanding that we were beginning a new chapter together, and allowed the presence of every person, every emotion, every memory in the room to contribute to a sense of completion, reflection, and profound gratitude that made the act of speaking and listening to these vows feel both sacred and deeply personal. As the vows concluded and the officiant guided us toward the exchange of rings, a subtle hush settled over the room, a collective breath held by everyone witnessing the unfolding moment, and I felt a profound sense of presence, the weight of the day and the significance of each action anchoring me in a delicate stillness. Jason and I turned our attention to the small velvet box held by the best man, the soft texture of the fabric and the coolness of the rings creating a tangible reminder of the promises we had just spoken aloud. My hands trembled slightly with anticipation and emotion as I reached for the ring, feeling the smooth metal slip onto my finger, a symbol not only of commitment, but of continuity, trust, and shared experience. Jason mirrored my movements with precision and care, his eyes never leaving mine, and I sensed the depth of his intention and the sincerity of his heart in the quiet gestures he made, each movement measured and deliberate, yet full of warmth and affection. Around us, the soft expressions of family and friends reflected support, pride, and a subtle curiosity, their faces attentive, capturing the emotional resonance of the moment while adding a sense of communal connection to our private exchange. I could hear the gentle strains of the quartet weaving through the ceremonial space, each note amplifying the emotional texture of the occasion, blending seamlessly with the soft murmur of breaths, the faint shuffle of feet, and the quiet gasps of delight that punctuated the proceedings. Despite the calm exterior of the room, I remained acutely aware of Ryan's presence, a shadow at the edge of my consciousness that neither disrupted nor diminished the experience, yet reminded me of the layers of life that intersected in this carefully curated moment. Jason leaned slightly closer, whispering a few words of encouragement and reassurance, his voice steady and warm, grounding me further in the shared reality of the commitment we were formalizing. I allowed myself to feel the full spectrum of emotions, the joy, the gratitude, the nostalgia for past chapters, and the excitement for the life ahead, without letting any one thought dominate, letting the presence of both past and present coexist peacefully in the charged atmosphere. As the rings settled, completing the symbolic exchange, I felt a quiet exhilaration, a gentle surge of connection and affirmation, recognizing that each element of the ceremony, from the words spoken to the gestures performed, carried layers of meaning, intention, and emotional resonance. The light shifted slightly as the sun moved through the windows, casting soft shadows that danced across the marble floor and the delicate floral arrangements, and I noticed how the subtle interplay of light and space seemed to enhance the feeling of unity, focus, and shared experience. The collective energy of the guests, the presence of loved ones, and the quiet acknowledgement of the past all interwove to create a sense of completeness, a poignant reminder that life was a tapestry of moments, choices, and connections, each one influencing the next, yet culminating in a day that belonged fully to Jason and me, a day defined by the love, respect, and commitment we shared and the awareness that the unfolding future was ours to navigate together, grounded in the strength of what we had built and the experiences that had led us to this very point. As we completed the exchange of rings and the officiant prepared to pronounce us officially united, a subtle shift rippled through the room, a mixture of anticipation, relief, and quiet excitement that seemed to draw every guest into the moment with heightened attention. Jason held my hands gently, his grip firm yet tender, and I felt the steady rhythm of his heartbeat through our connected palms, a reassuring pulse that mirrored the intensity of my own emotions. The sunlight streaming through the tall windows glinted off the delicate glassware on the tables, casting prisms of light across the polished marble floor, and I noticed how the subtle reflections seemed to dance in tandem with the swelling chords of the quartet, each note harmonizing with the unspoken emotions that filled the space. My mind briefly flickered to Ryan, standing quietly near the back, observing without interruption, and I felt an unexpected mix of curiosity and calm, a recognition that the past could exist alongside the present without threatening it, that what we were building now with Jason was strong enough to encompass memory and presence alike. The officiant spoke softly, guiding us through the final steps, each word deliberate, carrying weight and significance that seemed to resonate beyond the walls of the room, connecting us to the history, the witnesses, and the depth of commitment inherent in the ceremony. Jason leaned slightly closer, whispering a reassuring phrase that made me smile despite the flutter of nerves, his voice steady, warm, and comforting, a reminder that even in moments of subtle uncertainty, we were united in purpose and intent. The guests watched attentively, some leaning forward slightly, others offering quiet smiles of encouragement and support, the ambient murmur of appreciation and joy punctuating the music and the solemnity of the vows. I felt a swell of gratitude for the presence of our friends and family, for the careful planning and attention to detail that had made this day feel both intimate and grand, and for the shared anticipation of witnessing a moment that marked a significant turning point in our lives. Each gesture, each glance, each subtle shift of posture carried layers of meaning, a silent language of connection, understanding, and affirmation that underscored the significance of the occasion. As the officiant prepared to seal the ceremony with the final pronouncement, I became acutely aware of the interweaving of past and present, the subtle acknowledgement of Ryan's presence, and the unwavering certainty of Jason's commitment, realizing that the unexpected elements of life did not diminish the depth or integrity of what we shared. The light continued to play across the space, the music softening and then rising with gentle swells, and I felt a quiet exhilaration, a sense of completion and anticipation for the life that awaited us beyond this room. The energy around us, a combination of shared attention, emotional resonance, and human connection, reinforced the importance of the moment, grounding me fully in the experience while allowing a reflective awareness of the past and its influence to coexist without overshadowing the present. As Jason and I stood together, hands intertwined and eyes locked, I sensed the collective breath of the room, the subtle acknowledgement of history and memory, and the profound depth of a love that was affirmed, celebrated, and ready to carry us into the unfolding future with clarity, trust, and unwavering connection. As the officiant pronounced us husband and wife, a ripple of applause and soft cheers filled the room, and I felt a surge of exhilaration and relief wash over me. The culmination of months of planning, anticipation, and shared dreams crystallizing into a single, radiant moment. Jason smiled broadly, his eyes sparkling with warmth and joy, and I felt the steady pulse of his excitement through the touch of his hand as he guided me gently forward, our fingers intertwined, as if to physically affirm the connection that had carried us through every step leading to this day. Guests rose from their seats, some offering broad smiles, others dabbing at the corners of their eyes, and I felt enveloped by a sense of community, love, and shared celebration that made the entire experience feel expansive and inclusive, yet intensely personal. The soft strains of the quartet continued to underscore the scene, the gentle notes of the violins and cello weaving through the room, creating a rich backdrop that amplified the emotional resonance of the moment and gave a sense of timelessness to the proceedings. I could see Ryan standing at the back, his posture composed but attentive, observing without disrupting, and I felt an unexpected sense of closure mingled with curiosity, realizing that his presence, while initially disconcerting, had become a quiet acknowledgement of the chapters of life that had preceded this one, a reminder of how past experiences subtly inform the present without overshadowing it. Jason leaned closer, whispering a soft word of encouragement and joy, his voice calm, steady, and full of affection, and I allowed the sensation of his presence, the touch of his hand, and the sound of his voice to anchor me completely in the reality of the day, letting the exhilaration, relief, and gratitude flow freely through me. The officiant invited us to share our first kiss as a married couple, and the moment felt both intimate and expansive, a private acknowledgement within the context of the larger celebration, a symbolic gesture that tied together the commitment, love, and shared journey that had brought us here. I felt a wave of emotion sweep through me, a mixture of joy, anticipation, and deep appreciation for the life Jason and I had begun building together, recognizing that the ceremony, the presence of loved ones, and the acknowledgement of the past had combined to create a layered and profound experience. As we turned to face our guests, hand in hand, the smiles, applause, and gentle exclamations of delight created an atmosphere of collective celebration, a tapestry of human connection, shared experience, and emotional resonance that heightened the significance of our union. I felt the subtle warmth of sunlight on my shoulders, the gentle movement of air through the open windows, and the soft fragrance of flowers that filled the room, all combining to create a sensory memory of the day, an anchor to carry with me into the life Jason and I were embarking upon. Ryan shifted slightly, offering a small, almost imperceptible nod, and I sensed a silent acknowledgement, a recognition that the moment belonged fully to Jason and me, and that the past, while present in memory, had no power to diminish the significance or joy of the present. The music rose gently, the room filled with soft harmonies, and I felt an expansive sense of gratitude, presence, and emotional clarity, understanding that the complexities of life, the unexpected appearances, and the intertwining of past and present had contributed to a richer, more profound experience, one that would remain vividly in my memory as the defining moment of a day dedicated to love, commitment, and the shared journey that lay ahead. As the reception began and the soft chatter, laughter, and clinking of glasses filled the air, I felt a profound sense of contentment and accomplishment, the culmination of the ceremony and the symbolic commitments made now flowing into the celebratory atmosphere of shared joy. Jason guided me through the crowd, our hands intertwined, exchanging quiet smiles and gentle whispers of appreciation for the support, presence, and encouragement of our friends and family, each interaction reinforcing the depth of connection and shared happiness that enveloped the room. The sunlight outside began to soften as afternoon moved toward evening, casting warm golden tones through the large windows, illuminating the delicate floral arrangements, the polished wood floors, and the smiles of our guests, all of which contributed to a serene, yet exuberant energy that seemed to pulse with the rhythm of our celebration. I could feel the subtle awareness of Ryan lingering at the edge of the reception hall, observing quietly, yet his presence now carried a sense of peaceful acknowledgement rather than tension, and I realized that the unexpected intersections of past and present had a way of deepening the appreciation for the moments we actively chose to embrace. Jason leaned close, his voice calm and warm as he shared a light-hearted comment that made me laugh softly, the sound of my own joy blending with the ambient warmth of the room, and I felt a renewed sense of certainty and gratitude for the partnership we had cultivated over the years. Conversations with loved ones flowed naturally, stories of shared experiences, expressions of admiration, and laughter creating a tapestry of human connection that underscored the importance of community in marking such significant milestones. The music from the quartet continued to provide a melodic backdrop, each note gently weaving through the conversations, the soft movements of guests, and the occasional clink of glass, creating a sense of continuity, elegance, and cohesion that anchored the event in both emotion and tradition. I took a moment to step slightly aside and observe the room as a whole, noticing the interplay of light, sound, and movement, the expressions of happiness and curiosity on faces both familiar and less familiar, and the gentle interactions that revealed the warmth and care of the people gathered for this occasion. Even as I appreciated the flow of the reception, I reflected on the subtle lessons of the day, the recognition that life could bring unexpected encounters, the understanding that the past need not overshadow the present, and the awareness that meaningful connections and shared commitments provide a foundation resilient enough to accommodate complexity without compromising joy. Jason squeezed my hand lightly, a silent reminder of the trust, love, and mutual respect that had guided us through every step of preparation and would continue to guide us forward, and I felt an encompassing sense of calm and excitement for the life we were beginning together. As laughter and music intertwined and the room moved through its celebratory rhythm, I sensed the profound significance of this day, the blending of memory and presence, and the affirmation that the love, patience, and shared understanding between Jason and me had created a space where both the past and the future could coexist harmoniously. In that moment, surrounded by warmth, light, and the tangible energy of human connection, I understood the depth of our commitment, the enduring strength of our partnership, and the beauty of embracing each moment fully, knowing that the journey we were embarking upon together would be defined not only by joy and celebration, but by resilience, awareness, and the quiet confidence that we would navigate life side by side.